What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to the Beamer Barn. Today we're going to be looking at the latest purchase for the channel, and I hope you guys are excited for this one. It's something really out of the regular for me, and honestly, I'm going to let you guys in on a little something. It kind of sucks flipping cars, and I say that because, you know, you spend so much time with a chassis, you learn so much about it, you spend so much of your hard-earned time into restoring it, and then at the end of the day, you have to flip it in order to make money. So lately, I've been looking at different ways that I can diversify my fleet of cars and make money in different ways, and I finally got to deciding on a new method that I'm excited to share with you guys. But before we get into that, I need to show you guys the latest car that I bought. So without further ado, let me show you guys what it is. So here it is, my new to me 2014 Fiat 500. This is not anything special. It's not a turbo car. It's not even the Abarth version. But you know what? This is going to be a really cool car to add to the family for a few reasons. And the biggest one being that I'm going to start using this car for Turo activities. Now, before we get into it, I know what you're thinking. I have so many other cars that I could put on Turo. Why wouldn't I just list something else? But the thing is that a Turo car has to be under a certain amount of miles, 130,000 miles, and it has to be less than 12 years old. So currently, none of my cars would apply for that. And I also really wouldn't want to Turo out one of my personal vehicles. Something like an E90 or the 335i wagon probably wouldn't care, or maybe even the E60 wagon. But again, even that thing is a 2008, and currently, since it's 2022, it must be a 2010 or newer car. And that brings us back to the Fiat. This is one of the most reliable cars that I've found from, you know, just doing tons of research. Obviously, you know, you could go with something like a Honda Civic, but that's going to be much more expensive when you get to getting a newer car like this. So 2014, this is about as good as it gets for under $5,000. And that's right, this car is a good deal. So hopefully it pays itself off pretty soon after a few months on Turo. Now, it's definitely not in the best condition. The interior does look really nice though, I'll say, although the driver's seat has a little bit of a tear going on, so hopefully we can maybe rectify that in a future video. It'd be great to test out some different solutions to that, but overall looks really great in here. And some of these would come with the base model interior, but this one luckily has the twin cloth and leather seats, so that's a really nice color, and also has the black headliner and a moonroof, which is pretty cool. It does, again, it has signs of wear, so there's a little bit of paint peeling up here. This is pretty common. There are a couple of dings, you know, there's like a hefty size scratch right here, a little door chip there, and a scratch up here, but they were actually filled in with some touch-up paint. And I think that the previous owner said that it was done before they even bought it, so it was probably done at CarMax, which I think is where the previous owner bought this thing. So there's a little faded mark right there, but we're gonna have to polish that off. So there's gonna be a lot of video opportunities with this car from a perspective of restoring it, getting it in perfect driving condition. But obviously there's a whole nother side to this, because we're gonna try to make money off this car and make sure that it's a good experience for whoever decides to rent it from me. Now, when you're buying a car for Turo, there's a few things that you should probably look for, and I'll go ahead and go through some of the things in my mind when I was buying this car right here. So my number one concern was going to be the tires, and luckily this car had the tires recently serviced. The rear ones were done a year ago, and the front ones were done I think less than 6 months ago. So all fresh tires on the car means that it's much more safe to drive. Also, this being an economical car, I can price it low, and a lot more people are going to be willing to buy this car, especially when I tell them that it gets 31 miles per gallon city and 40 miles per gallon highway. I think that's going to be a really big selling point. It's also an automatic, and I know in a previous video I was hoping to get one of these in a manual, but after doing a lot more research on the market, it turns out that I can actually get more money for an automatic, and I can reserve it out more days of the month. So it was kind of the obvious choice, I think, to get the automatic transmission, because a lot more people are going to be able to rent this. Now, another important thing about buying cars for Turo is that you have to check the Carfax, because you need to make sure that it doesn't have any sort of title brands. It's never been involved in like a theft or stolen or anything like that. It can have accidents, but I believe they have to be minor accidents, and they can't have any open recalls. Otherwise, they won't be allowed on the platform because they'll be deemed unsafe. Now, moving again to a driver's perspective, you're gonna wanna make sure that the car drives well. And luckily, this thing does. So when I actually went and looked at it the first time, it did have an airbag code, and what I determined was that one of the impact sensors at the front was unplugged. So this car is actually very simple, and in the front of the car here, it does have a couple of sensors. And here is the one that was actually unplugged. It was the front impact sensor. There's one right here, and there's another one over here. There's also an impact sensor, I believe, on the driver's door, and then finally one more under the seat. So it couldn't have been much of a big problem coming from an airbag light. I knew it was gonna be one of the sensors, and it turned out just to be unplugged, so it was a really simple fix. You know, up here, the engine, I think it has a fresh battery. It was replaced recently in 22, and I think the oil change was done about 7,000 miles ago, so it does need to be done, but it was done pretty regularly by the previous owner, and that was all on the Carfax. And overall, again, the engine, it's not really been messed with, it's just been maintained, and the previous owners have not had any problems, and this car does have 110,000 miles, so it's almost getting up there in mileage, but it's just low enough for us to list it on the platform. Now, we also wanted to make sure that the AC works really well, so you can go ahead and turn it up. It does definitely blow cold. This car also does have heated seats, which is a cool feature. You know, automatic windows, the keyless entry is pretty cool as well. But the only thing letting us down is actually gonna be, I think, a TPMS light, which was on before. You know what? Maybe it went away just from driving. Let me put my seatbelt on. Okay, so we do have some sort of, you know what, actually, I know what that's from. This is from the bulb. So we have a couple of bulbs out. I thought that we had a TPMS light out, but it looks like we don't have one there anymore. So maybe it just reset after driving and it came back to life. But it wouldn't surprise me if it went bad again in the future. So I'm gonna have to keep my eye on that. Now, besides those couple of things here and there, there's really not a lot wrong with this car. So again, I did put more money into this investment up front because I didn't want to do a lot of hard work to get it on the platform. So it was really important that the car, came with good tires, good brakes, that there wasn't a whole ton wrong with it. That being said, though, there are some really cool opportunities for us to make content with this car. I was considering putting like a tracking device in it, which would be a pretty cool video, I think. There's also that leather repair that would be good practice for us for future projects. And then overall, just cleaning up the car, I think, is going to be the main task, along with just making it a good experience for our guests. So I'm open to suggestions, and I'm hoping that you guys aren't going to flame me too much in the comments for buying something that wasn't a BMW. It's been about 4 years since I bought something that didn't have a BMW badge on it. Last thing along those lines was my truck. But I hope that you guys are excited for this project coming to the channel, and if you guys want to see a lot more Turo content, be sure to smash that like button, and I'll be sure to upload more on the channel. And just let me know what you guys think, alright? So subscribe down below if you haven't yet, and as always, I hope you guys have an amazing day. We'll see you next time.